October 31, 1868, the Golden Era, San Francisco, California. Planchette. We took Planchette home with us and have tested its powers with the most astonishing results. On the first trial, it told us a great many events in our past life that we never knew ourselves even. With regard to the future, it said we should live to have parents, be bald-headed at 90, and, dying at a sweet old age, take as much property away with us as did the famous millionaire so often quoted, John Jacob Astor. We have dispensed with clocks entirely at our house, Planchette telling the time of day whenever applied to. She warns us of storms, domestic and otherwise, reminds us of rent day in advance of the landlord, detects frauds in the gas bills, tells what folks say about us after we have been to call upon them, predicts next week's style of bonnet, and makes herself generally useful. Our youngest boy gets Planchette to assist him in ciphering out all his hard sums, and the cook boils by her. Upon one occasion, we told a neighbor if he wanted to hold converse with the spirits to come over to our house that night, and he was at liberty to bring some of his friends also. We would give them a specimen of the wonderful powers of Planchette. Neighbor came, and about a dozen with him, brought out Planchette. Now, we said to our neighbor, do you recall to your mind any departed spirits you would like to hear from? Ah, yes, said he, visibly affected. I do. You have some choice of spirits, without doubt, said we. Name it, and it shall be produced. Can I have my choice of spirits? Sobbed the unhappy man with his face buried in his handkerchief. You can. Then, said he, I'll name Old Bourbon. We had to stand it. We kept a few bottles, very old, hid away, in case of sickness, which we were obliged to produce, and they left nothing but the empty glassware when they went away. Planchette is a great institution, and no family should be without it. November 22nd, 1888, the St. Andrews Bay Pilot, New Brunswick, Canada. 2 ghost stories. Was it a dream? A press telegram relates that Stephen Pearl Andrews and Cortlandt Palmer had an agreement that the one dying first should, within 1 year after death, send to the survivor a certain message. The exact words of the message were fixed upon, and as neither the meaning nor wording of the message was known except to those two, the receipt of it by the survivor would go a good ways towards proving life beyond the grave. Andrews, the noted spiritualist, died first, but although in the flesh familiar with most leading mediums of this country, his disembodied spirit found no means to send the significant words fixed upon to Palmer, the materialist, and the latter went to his grave, unconvinced of the life of the soul after the death of the body. The writer can tell of a similar compact, having a dissimilar but hardly more satisfactory ending. 18 years ago, a disciple of some unusual medicalism hung out his shingle in a small city in the state of New York. A lack of patience rapidly taught him the need of patience, and ere many months he was confronted by grim necessity, the mother of invention. His office was on the 2nd floor, and nearly all the front wall of the building between the sill of his windows and the tops of the windows below was occupied by the sign of a wholesale liquor dealer, who did business on the 1st floor. With the doctor's family, occupying a position as companion and friend of the wife, and in some measure governess for the children, was a young lady whose mental brightness was out of all proportion to her worldly fortune. She urged upon the doctor the necessity of some announcement of his principles, which should attract first attention, and then business. Accepting her views, he had painted a long, narrow sign to hang just under the window, and above the sign of the liquor dealer. The sign was hung one morning, and the doctor, stepping into the street, was startled by an effect the young lady had foreseen from the first. He read, "He who deals out poison deals out death. John Baxter, wholesale dealer in liquors." Within 24 hours, the doctor was famous in the city, and, thanks to the pens of the reporters, within 48 hours his name had gone all over the state. His lack of patience ended. The young lady alluded to, while a member in good standing of the Methodist Church, was a fearless freethinker. She was not a spiritualist, but an honest inquirer as to the future. She had marvelous mastery of Planchette, but explained it without allowing spiritual interference. However, she believed that if mind did not exist beyond matter, there should be some way of making it known to the living, as she firmly held in the supremacy of mind over the body on earth. While discussing these and like topics, an agreement was entered into between this lady and the writer to the effect that the one dying first, if still retaining spiritual life, should return and set all the doubts of the survivor at rest. Years passed away. The writer had been for a long time a resident of Minnesota, and the compact was a thing scarcely ever thought of when it was recalled by the reception of a newspaper, then 2 weeks old, which contained an account of the last illness and death of the lady, a sketch of her life, and a full report of a funeral sermon not at all in harmony with the views she held while living. Whether cognizant of the sermon, she gave no sign so far as I know. No message relative to that, or any other ideas or experiences after death, came back at that time. Some months after a member of a secret order to which I belonged died. He was not an intimate friend. Press of business kept me from the funeral, and there was nothing to impress it on my mind. Surely nothing to connect it with my compact with the dead lady. Another year went by. Then, one morning, after I had been some time awake, and as I was lazily summoning resolution to get out of bed, a singular thing happened. The wall of the room opposite the bed, and directly in front of my eyes, became a stone wall. That this change caused me no surprise was the only experience making this seem like a dream. Piercing the stone wall was an arch, about 8 feet high, and opening into a passageway which I knew to be of interminable length. Into this archway from the long passage approached the dead member of the secret order already alluded to. He was fully clothed in uniform he had no right to wear, except in transacting business for the society under orders. He bore orders in the manner customary in the society. He gave me the salute due from him to one holding the position I had attained since his death. He spoke clearly, plainly, perfectly naturally, and with official gravity. "Miss, instructs me to tell you that there is a life beyond the grave. Her duties are such as to render it impossible to return herself to give you any information." He saluted again and disappeared. The arch and wall were gone, and I, now the most astonished man on the face of the earth, was staring at the familiar features of my room. There was no consciousness of an awakening, no sensation of having slept since early dawn, but greater wonder and an excitement momentarily increasing, which made it difficult to dress. So far as I know, there had been nothing in my mind or surroundings for weeks previously likely to call up such a vision. I do not explain the affair, nor regard it as significant. It left me only confident that I was not sleeping at the time. Whatever illusion or delusion may have deceived me, it was not, in my opinion, a dream. Recently, I read of the doctor as a great leader in some mind or faith cure movement in Chicago. Just how it differs from the rest, I never took the trouble to find out. But as his medicalism is different from orthodoxism, so his faith differs from other faiths, or his cures from other cures. In interviews given to press representatives, he is today teaching almost identically the theories held by the lady, but which he scouted while she was a member of his family. Perhaps she has converted him by posthumous argument. The foregoing is a record of facts and actual experiences. St. Paul Pioneer Press.